waiting for your brother, Wesley? No, you blimp. I'm meditating.
You think your brother's so cool. He's nothing next to Bart Taylor.
Welcome to the Rad Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Donaldson, and a super fan of the movie, probably like you. In this podcast, I will be interviewing the cast of the film, some of the writers, and some notable fans. You can watch this podcast as a video podcast on YouTube or listen to it anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please consider liking and subscribing and share this with your Rad fan friends. Hey Rad fans! In this episode, I've got Dan McDonogh, known in the Rad universe as Mophead Boy, the iconic figure from the first scene, or one of the first scenes in the movie, and later on buying the shirt. And we get into all of that in this episode. We get into his BMX and acting background, how he got cast for the movie, how much he was paid for it, and what he spent that money on. He's a super nice dude. I've met him a couple of times. He's now a leader in the fitness world, and he has a son who has yet to see the movie, and you'll understand why. But without further ado, here we go with Dan. Hey, Dan. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, Tony. Good to see you, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well. I like your graphics behind. Nice one sheet.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that an original?
Yeah, so this movie poster that I've got sitting here behind me is the original movie poster from the theater in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, when it launched in cinema. So I went to the manager at the time and said, "Hey, when this poster comes down, I'd very much love to have this." So he saved it for me. I brought it home. I rolled it up. I thought I'd lost it, but then I found it kind of years later.
Wow.
And then I got it framed. So yeah, that was the original poster hanging in the Marlborough Mall Cinemas theaters in Calgary, Alberta, Canada in the summer of '86 when it was launched.
That is fantastic. How many days was it up?
To be honest with you, I think that it lasted in the theater a couple of weeks at that particular.
Oh, okay.
But I remember distinctively when the movie launched, you know, myself and my family and my friends, we all went to the theater to watch the premiere, and it was just pretty surreal at that time, you know, I think I would have been 16 years old when it launched, because I filmed when I was 15 years old. So obviously it was in Canada. Junior high school goes from grade 7 to grade 9, then high school starts in grade 10. So we filmed Rad in the summer between my transition from junior high to high school. So I got to miss my first few days of high school because Rad was still filming. So I thought that was pretty rad, for lack of a better word, to be missing your first kind of week of high school with the excuse of, I'm in a movie, so I can't come to class. So it was pretty surreal at that time.
That's awesome. Did you get treated like a movie star at all?
Yeah, you know, not really, to be honest with you. My friends who I kind of rode BMX with back when I was in junior high and high school thought it was pretty cool, right? But those who knew BMX knew, and those who didn't, for, you know, but, you know, my family thought it was pretty, pretty fun. You know, this Christmas, actually, just recently I went back home to Calgary for Christmas, got back on the 31st, and my dad and I were talking about, I'd mentioned to him that the big anniversary is coming up next year, and I'm hopefully going to make it, because I haven't had a chance to make any of them as of yet. Every anniversary, every milestone for Rad has always fallen on a weekend where, because I work full time in the fitness industry, it's always landed on a weekend where I've been somewhere presenting at a fitness convention or somewhere traveling, and stars just haven't aligned for me to attend one of the reunions. So I've got it marked on my calendar this year. I've got it blocked off. So my ultimate goal is to be there in July of this year, to be present for that. But my dad and I were talking about, reminiscing about how he had to drive me from our home in Forest Lawn to the movie set in Bowness Park, or drive me to Cochrane and basically chauffeur me around, because obviously I didn't have my license at that time. I was 15 years old, but and he talked about, I wonder if that pink elephant, that spinning elephant that was the sprinkler on that person's lawn in Bowness Park is still on their front lawn. I said, Dad, probably not. But it was pretty iconic scene that they took advantage of that elephant.
You know where that elephant is now?
No, I have no idea.
It's at the Crossroads Mall in, I think it's in Calgary.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Interesting.
Yes.
I didn't.
It's still there.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Super cool. But I remember distinctively that being just on the other side of the park where we filmed that particular, I think it was must have been a Saturday or a Sunday, I think. I can't remember when it was, but I just remember that whole day of filming in the park and the pink elephant and Wesley getting on cruise,
Right.
spikes in the back and just do that thing. But yeah, it was pretty super cool. But I remember like it was yesterday.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, first of all, let's go into how did you get involved with the film?
Yeah. So, I was doing acting and drama classes kind of since elementary school. Okay. That was kind of my thing that I really wanted to be in acting. So when I was younger, I did a lot of theater, did some commercials and so forth. But when they filmed Rad, my high school or my junior high school drama teacher, his name was Mr. Dahlside, he had an acting agency in the city of Calgary. So they used his agency to cast for local talent, whether it be extras or small speaking roles. And so he had basically told every single one of us in his drama classes that, we've got this movie coming up. If you want to audition, we can possibly arrange that for you. So that's initially how it happened. And I distinctively remember going in and auditioning for Hal Needham at the Intercontinental Hotel in downtown Calgary. I really remember it like it was yesterday. And I remember him auditioning me, and I remember what he said. He said, "Whatever you do, do not cut your hair." Right. So part of that Mophead Boy was kind of my hair grew like an SOS pad. Right. It didn't grow long. It just grew thick, and it was starting to get a little thick. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it was a couple of months from when the audition happened to when the actual movie was filmed. But he made it very apparent, whatever you do, do not cut your hair, because that's part of the role. So I don't know why I remember certain things and not certain things, but I fully remember going in and reading my lines and auditioning and get the word that I got the role. And yeah, it was super exciting. Then we filmed in the summer of 1985.
That is really cool.
That's how it happened.
How many days were you on set? Because and how many scenes are you in? Because I know 2 of them definitely.
Yeah, so So there's really only 2 scenes that I'm in. Obviously, there's the iconic getting kicked in the shin scene, right? And then there's the scene where I still happen to have it, the actual shirt that I bought. So I still have the shirt. It's not actually ripped. It's not actually ripped. Like I said, give him the ripped one. But I was going to
ask that.
Yeah, so I still have that shirt. So those were the only 2 scenes that I were in. Those were filmed, obviously, on separate days, because the big scene was filmed at that school in Bowness. And then, obviously, that other scene where I bought the shirt was filmed in Bowness Park, where Hell Track was constructed. Right. So, I only had, kind of two distinct days of filming. But I remember I was kind of told to kind of, be at Bowness Park for a couple of days. There may be some additional scenes that they dropped me into. Nothing was scripted. So I was probably there for about four or 5 days in total, I think, between being, at Bowness Park as well as that one school in Bowness. I did go to Cochrane when they filmed the lumberyard scene, so I was there just kind of watching that being filmed. But obviously, I wasn't on screen for any of that. But I tried to attend as much as I could, because my drama teacher at the time said, "Hey, soak this up as much as you can," because at that time it was the direction that I wanted to go in. Right, and then when I graduated, so I did drama continuously through high school, and then a little bit into university, I did theater. Kind of in my early 20s, I was in a few episodes of The X-Files as an extra, because it was filmed in Vancouver, Canada. So I was filmed in Vancouver, Canada at that time. And then that's kind of when my kind of quote-unquote acting career kind of stopped, and I kind of transitioned into health and fitness full-time. But hand on heart, all of my on-camera experience or rehearsing and learning lines and so forth through my childhood to early adulthood certainly transferred very well into my fitness career, being able to be on camera and being able to speak comfortably in front of people. So that whole experience transitioned really, really well into the career that I have now, which is in the fitness industry. Yeah,
it's really great. What got you into fitness?
Well, that's a very good question. That kind of started into high school, Tony. So I was, obviously you could tell, the Rad was filmed in kind of, in my early days of high school, but I was a very, very, very skinny kind of uncoordinated, shy person, all right? And what I find interesting, just from listening to a lot of actors speak, and obviously I still follow that whole industry because it fascinates me. But there's a lot of actors when they were younger seem to have a similar story, right? They're insecure, they don't have a lot of self-confidence. And so they find confidence through portraying other people through different roles, right? So I think that's why I drifted towards acting, is being able to kind of, be someone else that I'm not, right? And and on top of that, just kind of, I remember trying out for every sport team, both in junior high and high school, and I never really made any team sports because I was uncoordinated, and I was very, I more drifted towards being good at individual sports like track and field and so forth. But ironically, I found the weight room in grade 10. I tried out, I tried out for the high school football team and didn't make it, right? I wasn't coordinated. I could run fast, but I couldn't catch. I wasn't big enough to play or heavy enough to play any certain roles. And so I found the weight room and just started working out. And then I started to see results, Tony. And then something clicked in my brain where this was something where if I put in the work, I got the results. And there was no one that could tell me that I couldn't do something. If I didn't go to the gym, it was my own fault. If I didn't do my workout, I was responsible for that. So starting to see body transformation and self-efficacy and so forth, and really kind of finding my self-worth and my confidence through exercise is really where it all started for me. And that kind of continued through college and so forth. And then in my late teens, I got into bodybuilding. I did junior bodybuilding obviously you can't tell now, but there are pictures there that are when I was younger, when I spent a lot of time in the gym just working on transforming my body. At that point, it was all kind of, it was for show and not go, so to speak, right? My philosophy around health and fitness now is completely different. Is, now that I'm a father, to a 5-year-old at upcoming 55 years old, right? I'm all about longevity and moving free from pain. But when I was younger, it was all about how big were my biceps, how big were my pecs, right? All the things that kind of young guys to impress girls kind of really focused on. But long story short, that's how I discovered myself and my self-efficacy and my self-worth. And then something clicked in university and college when I went, hey, people started asking me for advice. And I'm like, well, I can give you advice. I'm really not qualified to give you advice, but something clicked and I went, hey, if I could help other people find their self-worth and self-efficacy through health and fitness, and I can get paid for it, that's pretty cool. So that's kind of how I kind of dived into health and fitness. And that's kind of where it's at now. So, I've been doing that for kind of 23 years full time. So I'm very blessed to be in an industry that helps people make informed decisions, empower them to make the best decisions for their health and wellness. So I'm pretty blessed from that perspective.
That's fantastic. And where did I meet you? I met you at UCLA. You were working for Under Armour at the time?
Yeah, correct. So I remember you came up when you came to see me when I was doing an event at UCLA, and I spent 5 years working at Under Armour from 2015 to 2020, kind of working in athlete performance as well as sports marketing and helping out with fitness content and so forth. So I remember you distinctively coming up onto the field that day and saying hello, which I thought was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, that was 3 miles up the road from where I live, so it was pretty easy. But my ulterior motive was obviously to get you to sign my Laserdisc.
Yeah, no, and of course I'm always honored to do that. And coming on 40 years later, it really does kind of boggle my mind. Truly, just how there's still an affinity for the movie from those of us who are our age, were there when it came out, and then this new generation, those of us who kind of have kids, right? Like obviously I became a father later on in my life, right? But I know I've got, my best friend who wrote, one of my best friends, Mark, who I wrote, his name is Mark. We rode BMX bikes together. He came to the set with me, right? He's got teenage sons, and they're now just discovering rad. So it just boggles my mind how it still has this cult-like following, and then there's a new generation of people that are discovering, the movie, and between getting stickers here in the mail for people to sign still blows my mind. some of the other things that obviously I've got, this shirt here was made for me and sent to me that blows my mind. I mean, I've still got a rad cassette tape here that I bought.
Nice.
But obviously I've got the VHS movie here. Now this was,
right. Is that still in plastic?
No, it's not still in plastic. It's actually, it's been used, but not a long time. And then, I may have, so I remember when I got these, it's cheesy to myself now, but I got this license plate made when I started to drive.
That's awesome.
Had Rad
and
on
with
it.
with the movie appropriate Wild Rose Country plate, like Talia Shire had on her car.
Yeah,
that's
so I've got
awesome.
Right, this was in 1993 to 1994. I thought I'd lost them, but I found them in my parents' basement. Like now, because back then you had to have a front plate and a back plate. But those are some of the things that I've that I've kept, and obviously I've got other small frame things that artists have painted certain pictures, and I've purchased them because I love them, and obviously want to support people who are supporting the movie. But probably some of my most valued things would be obviously the movie poster here. There was the original one in the theater, the T-shirt that I bought in the movie, having the VHS and the cassette tape. I don't even know if this thing would still play or not. I'd be scared to play it to see if it still stays together. But those are, and then of course, I've posted on some of the, the rad Facebook channels. I've still got the newspaper clippings, my contract that I signed.
That's cool.
My parents' authorization. So I've really tried to keep everything that I could, just as kind of some really cool memorabilia from 40 some odd years ago. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat. Actually, so I did a behind the scenes audio project with Bill and Eddie, and Bart even showed up. And Bart showed up to the recording with a box full of his stuff. He still has the uniform that he raced in, and it still fits him. So, yeah. Well, and he's obviously in the same industry that you are, sort of. I mean, he's still in gymnastics. So
yeah. And if if you do have and tell Bart I've tried to message him a couple times on Instagram saying, hey, don't know if you remember, he never has gotten back to me. If you got some pull, let him know I'm not a stalker. Just a fellow rad dude, just trying to go up and say hello. And have you ever had a chance of getting Jamie Clark? Obviously, he
actually, I've been talking to him via email. Bill gave me his email, and he's definitely going to be on the show.
Yeah, that's fantastic because obviously, he went on to some amazing things, climbing Mount Everest, and I met him a few times, kind of post rad. I know he was. I forget when and where, but obviously several years later, I met him and we just kind of did some good reminiscing and so forth. But obviously, I haven't seen him post much about his experience at Rad. But yeah, if you're getting him on the show, that's great because he was obviously an integral part to that movie, and having a local Calgarian play such a big role in the movie was super cool. Super cool.
Was he cast through the same agent?
No, that I don't know. So I'd be very curious. He might have been, might not, but I can neither confirm nor deny. But it'd be great to figure out how he landed that role because I thought he did a great job, and it was just super cool to see a lot of local Calgarians play good supporting roles in the movie, which was super cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've spent some time up there, and I've been to Cochrane a couple of times, and I'm definitely going to try and make the 40th.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Obviously, other great movies that were filmed in Calgary. Obviously, Cool Runnings with John Candy. About the 1988 Winter Olympics. Right, there's been so many great films and commercials, and obviously, still a lot of filming happens up in Canada. But I just Calgary was a focal point for some really cool movies back in the 80s. Obviously, Rad and Cool Runnings being another one of those movies.
That was really cool. So you rode BMX as a kid?
I did. I did some half pipe riding. I attempted to be half decent at some land tricks kind of thing, but just did the basic stuff. Right, it was one of those things where I was kind of more I've always obviously that's kind of where cycling really started for me. Right, was kind of BMX. then, my sporting career, which, some people may or may not know, but, kind of progressed into cross-country mountain biking. And then I kind of, did a lot of racing in Canada, doing cross-country mountain bike racing, not downhill with full body armor, but riding up and riding down, and progressing kind of into road cycling, right? So, I've been riding a bike for as long as I can remember, but it kind of started, my first bike I ever got was when I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and my uncle gave me his 10-speed with the down tube shifters, and I've got a photo of that somewhere. But then I drifted to BMX. Thought it was really cool. And then obviously because of the movie, I became a huge GT fan, right? I just thought, I still do. I thought, Eddie Fiola was just awesome, right? He was, besides Bill and a couple other actors, Eddie was the one who was, most gracious with his time with me. He may or may not remember, but, I've got a lot of photos where he, with his helmet and the GT stickers as the Mohawk on his helmet.
The Mohawk, yeah.
And I remember doing the exact same thing with mine.
Yeah, he is genuinely a nice person and very generous with his time. Like he's always willing to talk to anybody, and he helps a lot of people. Yeah, and that's and again, I mean, I've met Bill once, like years ago. We coordinated in I think I was working for Under Armour at the time. We met up at Starbucks and talked shop for quite some time. But he's literally the only actor from that movie that I've spoken with since the movie was filmed. So obviously been following Eddie and been following Martin and Bill, and I tag them on posts and vice versa and wish them happy birthday. But I've never physically had a conversation with any of, especially Martin and Eddie, let alone Bart as well. But, obviously, I should say, obviously, the conversation with Jamie kind of later on and, several years afterwards. But as far as those guys, I haven't had a conversation with them. I know they do their BMX riding. I forget, it was either every Tuesday and Thursday, or at least a couple of years ago, it was every Tuesday and Thursday in Huntington Beach. They'd meet down there and so forth. And never had a chance to kind of... Yeah. So, but I've just never had a chance to have a conversation with them. So I'd love to be in the same room with them at some point, just to kind of shake their hands and just kind of catch up and just be part of what has been obviously, a bit of a cult classic. I feel like you're going to get your chance in July.
Yeah. So I'll certainly, I've got it on my calendar, and it's my big goal to get there, try and take the family, trying to get a couple of friends of mine in Calgary who came with me to the set when we filmed to come and join and so forth. So I'm super excited about being there. Super excited.
Very cool. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I gotta work on my riding stamina to see if I can actually borrow a BMX bike while I'm up there and take the ride around town.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming they'll let people ride any type of bike, I would imagine, just to kind of ride around and see the sights.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously I don't have a BMX bike anymore. But I could try and find. I'll find something when I get up there so I can join the bike tour. But yeah, and Tony, while we're on, giving kudos where kudos is due, kudos to you for all that you've done to kind of keep the nostalgia and the dream alive after all these years. So, making sure that, give you the kudos for all that you've done to continue the rad legacy. So thank you for all that you've done for that. And continue to.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm a fan, and I've been a fan since I was 17 when the movie came out. And the weird thing is, shortly after that, I ended up moving to California to work for a BMX magazine and got to meet Eddie and Martin. And, I probably know most of the people from the film now. And Sam Bernard is a dear friend of mine, actually, the guy that wrote the film. So I met him for the first time at the 25th anniversary here. And then I got him involved with the audio project that we did, the behind the scenes thing. So
yeah, very cool. Yeah,
it's fun being a fan, and it's fun seeing how rabid the fans are for this film.
Yeah,
I just love it.
Yeah, no, pretty good. Yeah, and obviously, you may have you probably have more insight than I do, but I'm sure there's been at some point, tried to reach out to Talia Shire and try to get her on your podcast. I mean, I'm sure there's been, obviously I don't know the history or behind it, what all that stuff is, but I mean, super cool, man, having, some of Ray Walston and those guys back. I mean, I still have my autograph book, right, of Ray Walston and him signing it. And all Jack Weston and all those, and obviously Hal Needham being, the iconic director that he is, but obviously, we know Talia Shire is still around and alive and kicking, but, I'm not sure if there's any luck trying to reach to her, but that'd be super cool to get her involved in some way, shape, or form.
I have connections. I'll see if she's interested. I did reach out to Bart. I haven't heard back either. And then Lori would be fun to get on. Yeah. But I'm also going after fans, like notable fans. Eddie, in the interview that I did with him, tells the story of Ed Helms, like running up to him and, gushing over him on the set of The Hangover. So, like, here's some random stunt guy who's hired to be there, and he's just standing around. It was the scene where they were driving up the sidewalk in the cop car, and they hired stunt people because originally they were going to drive fast, and they rewrote it and drove slow. They had to stop to reload film or something like that, and Ed gets out of the car and just beelines over to Eddie. And I got to think that, what are the other stunt guys thinking? Like, who the hell is this guy? Like, why is the star of this movie running up to some random guy on the set? But, I mean, cool. the movie's had such an impact on so many people. I'm going to get Donnie Robinson on here, gold medalist BMX racer. There's a lot of people that I want to get on here that are, fans and interesting. I think Shaq is a fan, so that would be kind of a fun thing to do, too.
Wouldn't it?
So, it's pretty amazing the impact that film has had on so many people.
Yeah, and it's like that 6 degrees of separation. You have no idea, right, how so and so is connected to so and so, and next thing you know, it's like, oh wow, this is super cool. And it's it's kind of like that in the fitness industry as well. But it seems to be wherever I've gone, there's always been that kind of 6 degrees of separation, right? It's quite fascinating and ironic sometimes when you figure out this so-and-so who's a superstar is a fan of the movie that I was in and a part of, right? So, that's super cool to hear those stories.
Absolutely.
Super cool to hear those stories, indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, indeed. So,
right.
when the movie came out, Tony, you moved to Canada. So, when the movie first came out, where were you? Yeah, when the movie first came out,
I was in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So,
and were you riding BMX at the time as well?
Oh yeah. I was big into. I started out as a racer, but I was really into freestyle at the time. We had a team. We did shows at fairs and festivals and corporate events and that kind of thing. So yeah, we were fully into all that. So the first night it came out, it was a Friday night. My friends and I went out. There was 5 of us. There was 9 people in the theater at the first showing. That should have been the bad sign. I went back a couple of days later to see it, and it was gone. So it did not have a long life. And, obviously it grew wings once it got into VHS.
Yeah. And it was one question I often get asked is like, am I getting residuals from the movie? And I just got to laugh when I hear that. And it's like, I remember getting a check. It was after the film had launched. I remember getting a check that was like a one-time only residual payment, and it wasn't very much, right? Didn't ask me if I wanted it. They just sent it to me.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously it was pretty cool. I think if I remember correctly, Tony, I got paid, it was $250 a day. That's what they paid me, right? Now, as a 15-year-old, not bad, right? I earned enough money to kind of get myself a new GT because I became a GT fan because of Eddie in the movie, right? So I remember saving that money to buy a new BMX bike. But, obviously didn't get paid a lot of money, but it was just super cool to be involved in something that I don't think any of us had any idea that would have the staying power that it has had, right? I think all of us would love to see some sort of Rad 2 come out in some way, shape, or form. I've seen many different storylines that could possibly exist, but I think there's a story in there somewhere. So that'd be super cool if someone could ever bring that to fruition. But anyhow, it's just super cool and honored to be a part of what is something so classic indeed.
Yeah. Do you remember which GT you bought?
No, I shouldn't say a GT Performer. I remember It was all chrome. That's all I can remember. It was all chrome, and I had to get the same wheel covers that the solid wheel white discs that Eddie had. I had to get those. I had to do the feathers on my helmet. I probably got a picture of me, trying to replicate him as best as I could, just because I thought he was super cool at that time. But yeah, I mean, I just was a massive fan all through high school. So grade 10, 11, and 12. And then it just started to kind of, then after I graduated from high school, I transitioned to mountain biking after that, but, kept that GT in my parents' garage for a long time. And then ended up selling it. Probably shouldn't have, but ended up selling it at some point. Cause I moved from Calgary, I moved to Auckland, New Zealand. Then I moved to San Francisco, California. So I've kind of done a round the world tour from a living perspective, but yeah, so that's what I spent my money on from the earnings from the movie. And a couple other things that I got a couple of pairs of Vans shoes that have the Rad outsole on them, right? So I've got a handful of iconic things that I've been able to pick up kind of over the years.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of fans that are jealous, and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Just all that cool stuff. I'm glad that you kept all that.
Yeah, no, it's I probably somewhere along the line probably asked myself, why am I keeping this? And then, obviously I did, thankfully. Some of it I thought I'd lost, like the poster, but then I found it. Thankfully, my mom kept it rolled up in the basement. So, I found that, got it framed. So yeah, they kind of come, keepsakes and treasures now. So, I'll certainly hang on to them and pass them down. Obviously, my son's 5 years old, so he has no idea. I could show him the movie, but he probably wouldn't really comprehend that it was me or not at this point. But when he gets a bit older, I'll certainly show it to him. Now that you can find it on I think on Apple TV, you can find it if you want to watch it.
It's
I'll
streaming.
show it to him at some point. Yeah,
that's going to be very cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah,
I think
100%, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but Bart, when I interviewed him, his son was like 9 at the time, and he hadn't shown him the movie yet.
Wow, okay.
So
got it. Okay.
You have to go decide that as a parent. There's some bad words in there and a couple other things, but
oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not like my son at 5 years old has not been exposed to the bad words, because we have a swear jar here at the house. We've got a swear jar here. So, but I've contributed a lot to that swear jar. But all good. Yeah, at some point, we'll have a family watching party. Yeah, but super cool. But yeah, he'll definitely see it at some point, Tony.
All right. Well, that sounds great. Well, I hope to see you at the 40th, and it'll be a fun time, and good to see you again, and everybody else. So, and I hope everybody else listening to this actually tries to make it. Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to seeing a whole bunch of people, just being a part of that event, and just for nostalgic reasons, it'd be super cool to kind of go there and, whatever flavor or commentary I can add, I'll certainly do that. But I want to go there just to be a part of everyone else enjoying and celebrating, the anniversary of this movie. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. You're very welcome, Tony. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Absolutely. All right. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for making it all the way to the end of this episode. Please hit that like and subscribe button and check out our other episodes.